Before we get started, I wanted to give a quick thank you to everybody on all the great feedback on our Context Collapse episode. And I also wanted to let you know that we are gearing up to do another Q&A episode. So if you've got questions for me or for producer Ben, you can submit those at 10yeartown.com. Thanks. What's up, everybody? It's Troy Cartwright. Welcome back to another episode of 10 Year Town. Before we get started, I wanted to give you this week's stat of the week, powered by our friends over at Chartmetric. Today's stat is $1.5 billion. That is the estimated value of the country music touring industry in the last year alone. It is a massive business built around live shows, festivals, and the teams behind the scenes who make it all happen. And today, we're getting a look at that world from someone who is right in the middle of it. If you want to uncover more specific insights, including artist touring history, average ticket price, and more, head to chartmetric.com. Now, back to the show. Today's guest is Ryan Whelpley. Ryan is a touring director at Red Light Management, and while you may not have heard of Ryan, you have definitely heard of some of the acts he's worked with behind the scenes, including Kip Moore, Tim McGraw, Jordan Davis, and many, many others. In this episode, we discuss his journey from production manager at the Wild Horse Saloon all the way to his current role and all the stops along the way. He is a wealth of knowledge about the behind-the-scenes world of live music, and I learned so much from this conversation. I know you guys are going to learn a lot too. So without further ado, here he is, Ryan Whelpley. Have you been you've been using the Chat GPT, the Deep Seek?
I haven't, only because I feel like I have too many subscriptions as it is, and I just can't do another one. I'll go analog and just figure it out myself. I can't do it.
I have emotional, like, I find the emotional labor of writing an email like a lot for me.
Really?
So I mean, I'm like giving away trade secrets here. I'll like input an email I got, say what I want to say with my full emotion. Like, I'm really worried about this, so I'm trying to say this way, but I don't want to say, Yeah. And then it'll spit me something back that sounds like an adult said it. And then I'll work with that. It's never like a straight copy paste, but
maybe I'll try this out.
It helps me think a little clearer.
Okay.
Because I'm a very emotional guy.
You never got emotional with me.
Yeah, that's because I was just using AI to write all my emails to you.
Do you think you ever yelled at me?
No.
Did I? We're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is I see the red lights on. Good.
Yeah. We're rolling.
No, I don't think so. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember a time you ever got mad at me.
I don't think ever. There was nothing to ever. You're like a magical guardian angel of the music business. That's how I would describe your job title. It's like you make all the hard stuff easy, and I don't know how you do it.
Repetition.
Yeah.
Just getting those reps in.
Yeah. We'll get into it. I want to talk more about it, but
where do you need to start?
Well, first off, how long you been in town?
I'm excited about this question because I listened to all your podcast, most of your podcasts.
Yeah.
March 26, 2004. Wow. And I'm always amazed when I listen to your podcast and other people are like, I don't know, I came around this time. I think yours is kind of generic. You kind of know when you came, but not the exact day.
Yeah.
I moved here March 26, 2004. And it's crazy of that day has been like an important day since then.
Really?
Yeah, like I got married on that day in 2016, and that was kind of on purpose.
Okay.
But like there's been a couple like other like anniversaries around the 26th, and 26 is just a great day. And every year it comes about. It's coming up next month, and my dad and I will talk because he's the one that drove me down here.
Yeah.
In a U-Haul, moved on the Music Row, right across from what's called Ocean Way.
Yeah.
Across from Waylon Jennings' old house. And I just remember that day. It's a great day.
Where did you move from?
I came here from Eerie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I had gone to school for a couple of years for audio engineering and for TV and radio south of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't what I wanted to do. Then I found this school called SAE right across from BMI on Music Row.
Okay.
And it was a school of audio engineering.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
So it wasn't like all the It wasn't all those elective classes you needed. I just needed a technical school of how to learn how to mix sound.
Right. And was it primarily live sound or was it studio
No, it was
stuff?
all studio. I had no desire to get into live sound.
Okay.
And
That's funny.
Yeah. I had no desire to get into live sound. And I quickly learned that, when you enroll into school, you get a Mac. And anybody with a Mac automatically had, this is 2004. So Macs were becoming affordable kind of, and people to have for themselves. And, it came with GarageBand. So you had a studio automatically. And so this town became so watered down. Everyone had their own studio.
Yeah.
And I quickly learned that, I wasn't going to go the studio route.
You didn't think that was your life calling?
No, I liked the process of the studio.
Yeah.
But I learned everyone had their own studio, and so it just got watered down. It was everyone has it now, right?
Right. I mean, it's super hard.
Just like everyone can make a podcast.
Yeah, they can.
Yes.
And they do, including this one. I feel that way like every time I just try and make like a rough demo in Logic on my computer.
Yeah.
It takes me 19 hours to get something that sounds halfway decent. And then I'll go to somebody like Ben's house and just do like an acoustic vocal and he does it immediately. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to be good at this. It's just not going to happen.
But you're the artist. You're the songwriter. You don't have to. You just need to be able to get it recorded.
That's right. I just got to get the idea down.
I mean, how many demos are in this town are on just their voice memo app on their phone?
I shudder to think how many.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But those are like I would love to hear how many like hit songs. I like listening to those demos. I like hearing them.
Yeah. Yeah. People, there's a lot of lore around demos, Yeah. And, like I think like NSAI for a while was like posting old demos.
Yeah.
Of like hit songs, which was pretty interesting. I think on this podcast before we've talked about like the original Hardy Jake Mitchell demo for Up Down.
Yeah.
And it's like, does not sound, it does sound like the song, but it does not sound the same.
Right.
It sounds ridiculous.
Right.
So let's take a quick break here to tell you about our friends, the Graphic Guitar Guys. If you've ever thought about having a custom guitar, whether for merch, a giveaway, or a unique VIP package item, Graphic Guitar Guys makes it simple. They've worked with some of the biggest names in country music, handling everything from the guitar to full color graphics and shipping, and it's all for one easy price. They're also a great option for album pre-sale bundles or fan collectibles. I've worked with Scott and the rest of the team myself, and they really do make the whole process effortless. Check them out at thegraphicguitarguys.com. Now, back to the show. So you are in school when you move here, and then did you get a job soon afterwards? Like, what did that kind of look like?
So I had to prep for this.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever talked about myself until that one time we went to lunch a couple of weeks ago, and I started thinking, like, what is my story?
Yeah.
And I moved to town, went to school for audio engineering.
Okay.
Immediately got a job at Opryland as a bellman, working third shift. And
is that like the hotel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, working third shift at Opryland. I was 20 years old. Turned 21 at Opryland, like running like carts back and forth.
Did you sneak a shot of Fireball?
No. And what was great from there, I'd worked there for about a year. Opryland owned the Wild Horse.
Yeah.
And so after about a year, a position came open. I'm still in school for live sound tech at the Wild Horse.
Okay.
And applied for it just to transfer, got a part-time job there, and then that's kind of where it started moving, meaning like had a guy there named Sean Meyer who kind of took a chance on me, just some kid out of school that I didn't understand signal flow. I couldn't do basic signal flow on a Mackie 1604.
Yeah.
But then went to the Wild Horse and it was part-time. And after about a year, I went to full-time, which was great because I was mixing 5-6 days a week.
Wow.
Front of house monitors, whatever it was. And it was just great practice because we had a great rig in there, and you're doing wedges, you're doing ears, you're doing all types of house bands and a variety. And it was great engineering practice.
Yeah. So it's a lot of reps to get right off the bat.
Exactly. And it was the reps. It's so important.
Yeah. It's everything.
Yeah.
Did you think at that point, like, you know, I guess I've always thought of you more in the like TM and then kind of, I don't even know what I would describe what you do now, but I'm sure we'll get there. But how did you kind of transition from doing that gig to the road, or what happened?
I was at the Wild Horse for about 3 years.
Okay.
Solid. And working 5-6 days a week, mixing every day. And then towards 2008, my production manager at the time, Sean Meyer, he was leaving. I got promoted to being production manager at the Wild Horse, and that lasted for about 2 months, because a guy I'd worked with at the Wild Horse, he was tour managing the Gin Blossoms, and he goes, "Hey, I'm leaving to go do George Thorogood. Do you want to go tour manage the Gin Blossoms?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm 24 years old. These guys have been together for 22 years. What, I mean, how hard could it be?
Yeah.
And so I tried doing both, like a lot of us do in this town where we have multiple jobs, and it was great. And then I thought I got to a point where I got so busy that I couldn't do my production manager job.
Yeah.
I had to go tell the GM, like, "Hey, I'm leaving." And he goes, "That's great. That's good. Go chase it down." And that was good. That was nice.
Where were you, like, in your life at that time? Were you like single and like?
Oh yeah.
So you had no ties.
All of my 20s was focused on my career, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was purposeful that I didn't. I mean, I said it was purposeful, but I didn't date at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was my choice or not, but yeah.
That's how it happened.
But I was gone, and like some of my goals every year would, in 2008, 2009, 2010, I had set goals of hitting. I want to be on the road 250 days a year.
Wow.
Meaning, like, you know, counting travel days, counting off days, whatever, show days. But yeah, probably from 2009 to 12, it was between 200 250 days a year.
Wow.
And a lot of that was in a van.
It was.
Right.
I was going to ask, like,
a lot of it was in the van. Yeah.
was that your first time kind of being on the road like that?
So, my first road gig ever, I had to look this up today. I did research on myself.
I love this.
My first road gig ever was with a Christian artist named Jackie Velasquez in 2006. My friend Sean Meyer was working with her, and he took me to go do it, and I was nervous. I didn't really know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
Going on the road. And it was up in just north of, where was it? Springfield, Tennessee. So it wasn't far. I counted on the road.
Yeah.
I got paid to go out and do it. And then my first time on a bus was with Mark Schultz. And the worst part about that was I fell out of my bunk, like cussing the whole way down, like Christian artists. And like they all came out flying out of their bunk, and Mark came out and goes, "What happened?" I said, "I fell down. I'm good." And I still those guys. This was 2006 as well, and I'll see those guys to this day, and they'll be like, "Hey, you're the guy that fell out of the bunk."
How was the bus moving, or
no? Yeah, it was. I was a top bunk, and like
took a left turn, and
yeah, I just rolled out. I didn't know where I was, and so and then I really started getting on the road full time in 2008 when I did the Gin Blossoms.
Yeah.
Did that for 2008. And then 2009, next gig was with the Lost Trailers, which was managed by Sean McSpadden.
Yep.
And then trailers to McGraw, to Kip, to Red Light.
Wow.
So, and all that, it's interesting. We were talking at lunch a couple weeks ago, and I got cut off because I had to run, but I was about to tell you, I was working on how I got to each step.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I can take it all the way back to being almost 9 years old to say like how I'm sitting right here talking to you.
Really?
Because of like, this may be boring to everybody else, but I'm sure my mom will love it. It's like I played hockey growing up, and a guy I played hockey with, his aunt worked at Gaylord Entertainment Center for Gaylord. She came into a restaurant back at home where I was working, and was like, "Hey, are you moving to town?" Or she came in with my buddy. And I told her I was moving to Nashville. She's going to call me to get there. She called me to get a job at Opryland to the Wild Horse.
Yeah.
Wild Horse was working with a group. Telluride was in there. Do you know who the lead singer of Telluride was?
No.
Adam Craig.
Oh, yeah.
So Adam Craig was lead singer. Their manager was Lee Willard. Lee gave Stokes Nielsen my phone number from Lost Trailers. Stokes, they're managed by McSpadden. And
yeah.
So like so McSpadden to Red Light to you, and so yeah, that's how we got it. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's interesting. It's fun.
How did you go from the Lost Trailer Lost Trailer Boys
Yeah.
to Tim McGraw, did you say?
Yeah. So
That's seems like a huge change.
09, we did a lot of fairs and festivals. We did like maybe 130 shows.
Yeah.
And then 2010, we got the McGraw tour. It was us opening. Lady A was a middle act, and that's right when Need You Now was exploding.
Yeah.
And so it was Tim, Lady A, and me, or us. And I was the only crew guy on on the trailers. And so their team saw just how hard I worked.
Yeah.
And the next year when the trailers, Lost Trailers were breaking up after that tour was over, like in May of 2010.
Yeah.
And when Tim was going back out that next year, I reached out to production manager, his name's Lug. And just like, hey, you got anything open? He goes, yeah, I might have something for you. I was like, wow, okay. Like, they're doing the January gig search.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I was driving back from Pennsylvania, and on that drive back, I got three offers. I got 3 conversations. It was one with McGraw from Lug, and then I got a call from a guy named Michael Todd, who's out with Eric Church. He was production managing Billy Currington.
Yeah.
And he called and was like, hey, do you want to come mix monitors? And then I get back into town, and a friend with Phil Vassar calls. Wow. And I was like, hey, do you want to come do monitors for Phil? And so I had like these 3 great things. Like, of course I got to go Tim. Like, no offense to those guys. Like, so I went Tim, and
what was the nature of the job you're doing?
I was low man on totem pole.
Okay.
So I got hired to do VIP, mix it, set up as VIP, mix it, and tear it down. But I also got pulled into doing carpentry. I was like the 3rd carpenter. I was doing automation. And the reason why I was doing automation is we had these 3 video walls that were on programmable motors. Mm-hmm. And the guy that was supposed to be doing automation, he was still in Europe with Kylie Minogue. So he wasn't going to be at rehearsals.
Yeah.
He wasn't, and I didn't notice until like the 2nd day of rehearsals. I was just a young guy out there, and they're like, "Hey, can you learn automation?" I'm like, "Sure, why not? Let's go."
Yeah.
And so I spent 2.5 weeks in the annex at Bridgestone, figuring out how to program this software, flying 3 video with help from people up at Tate, with help of flying them over the band's head with 2 risers that went in and out, and it was stressful. I crashed it once. I got yelled at real bad. Lug. You guys probably don't know Lug, but he used to be production manager of Metallica, just a wicked Boston masshole, great guy. I mean, like, that's a compliment.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's the reason why I wear this hat. Him and this guy, Tim Shanahan, we were up in Canada with the Lost Trailers, and I was wearing a Yankees hat, he being from Boston. And they wouldn't put my gear on stage. They're like, hey, we can't put your gear on stage. I said, what's going on? They're like, you got to get rid of that hat. And I thought it was like a joke.
Yeah.
And like, we got past all the laughter. Like, yeah, we're not putting your gear on stage. So I took the hat off. And so next day we had an off day. I went and grabbed a hockey hat, brought in. It was good. So we're good. And then when Lug hired me the next year, I was like, I'm just going to start wearing a Red Sox hat.
Yeah.
I come walking to rehearsals. I haven't seen the guy in a year, 6 months, man. He goes, instead of like saying, hey, how you been? He goes, why are you wearing that hat? You're not even a fan. Take it off. And so it's like, it just stuck. It's
stuck with you.
It's been my Red Sox.
I love that. Can you explain to me what the role of a carpenter is? I always hear this job title on the road, and I'm like, my grandfather was like a handyman. He was a carpenter.
Definitely didn't earn the title. I was like assigned it. Basically, a carpenter is the person that sets up the set, so the risers or the band gear.
Are you like hammering wood?
No,
That's what I'm thinking.
The lead carpenter they may have to build like a stairs or like build some stuff, but I wasn't that guy. I was just the guy that had to say yes to do everything to help out.
So a carpenter is kind of someone that helps like assemble the set.
Correct. So you go to a show and you see the set that the band's on, or the thrust. That's what they're taking care of. They're kind of like, they can be adjacent to like the stage manager, but yeah, they're building the set.
Okay. All right, so you're out there with Tim. You're low man on the totem pole. You're doing everything.
Yeah.
You're automating stuff. Yeah. You're building shelves. I'm just kidding about the shelves.
No, a lot of the time was that, and also just mixing and setting up his pre-show. Like, you have a sponsor, and that pays for a separate tent that fans pay to come to, and they get a little VIP intimate and mixing that. How
did that kind of evolve into you going out with Kip? Because I guess that's sort of when I first...
On that tour, I learned... It was my first like big A-level tour, and I learned... I had a crossroad of whether I was going to go production manager or tour manager.
Okay.
And I don't like dealing with power. I just don't like power and electricity. I know that sounds dumb, but it's long days for those production guys. And there's a lot to it. And it's not that I didn't want to take on that task, but I just like the idea of moving people, helping get the show up and going, budgets. I like the tour manager side better. I saw more longevity in it.
Yeah.
Mixing got me into it. I mean, being able to mix and be able to do production got me into it, and I still have a good grasp of it now. But tour management and travel and the logistics of being a tour manager was more appealing to me. And so at that time, Tim was red light as well. So trailers were red light, Tim was red light, Kip's red light. So since really 2009, I've been working with red light.
Yeah.
And Tim finished in like September. I went and did a couple like one-offs with to fill the time with like Sawyer Brown and Becky Covington, and just to fill the time of the season. And then at the top of the year, Jenny Tackett called me and was like, "Hey, we got this new artist. You want to go drive his van or drive his bus, this like Sprinter van thing?" I was like, "Man, I'm not working much. Sure, let me. Here's a number for it." Sent the price I wanted, and never heard back. I was like, "Okay, that's fine." They were going out with Billy Currington, and this is probably like March and April. And then April, Jenny calls me back, goes, "Hey, we need to get a tour manager. Kip's moving fast. Truck was on the charts. Like Truck was almost the number one."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Can you want to come talk to Sean?" And I, then the three of us had worked a lot together already because of the Lost Trailers, and so we knew each other really well. And I went and sat with them, and they're like, "Oh, you want to go do this?" I was like, "Sure, let's go." And I didn't know anything about Kip.
Yeah.
And my first week out with him was the first week he ever had a bus, the first week that he ever had a crew member, and the first week that Truck went number one.
Wow.
And so, and it was fast. That was May of 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Was it, so you were kind of there at the beginning, sort of close to the beginning, and then
I wasn't in the van with him.
How did that ride go? Like, I mean, it just seems like he toured so much and his career grew so much in that time.
Man, it was fun. It was to look back and think like, man, you trusted some 28-year-old kid to take care of this artist moving fast. Like, and we do this all the time in this town. Like, I mean, there's so many times where I'll help hire somebody for a new artist and like, okay, go, you're 25, go be responsible for this person.
Yeah.
And thinking about it now, it's like, that's what you need. Like, you just need that blind
optimism.
Yeah. Just to go. And so what was great is that, I feel like my work ethic was there I just wanted to figure it out. I was still focused on my career. That's all I did was I worked. I worked all the time. And Kip was great to work with. I mean, we always had our challenges sometimes, but that's part of growing pains.
Yeah.
And being the first crew guy in, I had to do a lot. I had to do just not only tour management, production management, which was a little, but it's still a lot to deal with. And that growth over like 7 years, there's a lot there. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Can you talk to me a little bit about like, what is the primary role of like a tour manager? Because I think a lot of people just don't understand fully what a tour manager does.
They can be a varied term of what your assigned tasks are, but the generic is you're taking care of everything that is not on stage, all the details such as the logistics of travel, food, accommodations, catering, runners, maybe in payroll, per diem, just all the details that go into nothing that's on stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes tour managers do get involved with that, and early on I was involved with all that. But it's all the details that aren't dealing with production that's on the stage.
Okay, gotcha. So
you're dealing with management, you're dealing with the artist, you're dealing with the band, you're dealing with the crew, you're dealing with the label, the publicists. And at that time, Kip was on MCA.
Yeah.
And MCA was hot. I mean, they still are. Biasly, they're one of my favorite imprints at Universal.
Yeah.
I loved working with them. The people that were his reps at the time, they were great to work with. He was at Green Room PR. Those people were great to work with. It was great growth for not just me, but Kip also. Like, great connections. Like, there's people I still work with to this day.
Yeah.
That I worked with then.
And when you say you're working with them, is that sort of like in your role as tour manager, are you like coordinating? So they're like, hey, we're in Chicago and these people are
Right.
going to show up, and you just make sure that they're taken care of, that they got the right credentials.
So
and
if say you're doing a show in Chicago, right? We're at Joe's.
Yeah.
And labels coming out. We need tickets. We need some tickets. Or radio's coming out. We need some tickets, meet and greet passes, and then you're communicating and dealing with the venue of, hey, I want to do stuff at this time, and then you're dealing with the label of what they want to do and just coordinating all the details that go with it.
Yeah.
And also getting the parameters from the manager saying like, hey, this is an important station. I need you to take care of them. So whatever they need, take care of them. Or like, hey, there's 3 stations in this market. You know, I think if you go to Salt Lake City and there's some, they don't get along. And so you got to deal with that too. And so the politics, you're dealing with that in tandem with the label as well, that they'll communicate that stuff to you.
And are you trying to keep as much of that out of the artist's headspace as possible?
I feel like we communicated that a lot with Kip. Like we were like, hey, this one gets along, this one doesn't get along. Like let's bring this one's a priority because maybe it's iHeart or whomever. This is not a major reporter. Like it's a lot of that communication with the label.
Yeah. It sounds like hard work, man. It sounds like a lot to keep track of.
I mean, you just gotta have your systems and your process. Master Tour. I mean, that's no free ads, right? But Master Tour. Like,
hey, Master Tour has been great.
Oh, it's a lifesaver. It's what keeps me going.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So you're out with Kip for 7 years?
Yeah, Kip was 2012 to beginning of 18, and there was a lot of growth there. I mean, we did 6 Live Nation tours. We're doing those amphitheaters and the arenas, and then every fall we'd do a headliner tour. We did a lot of Europe. We did Australia several times.
Yeah.
And it was in the time, like I love doing it, but there's so much growth there that there's stuff that I use from those dates. I'll go back and look at details from those dates and use that for artists I'm working with now.
Yeah. Still that system that you've built still kind of.
Yeah. And Kip was different in the sense of, I mean, you had him on, he's Kip, and when that Wild Ones album was coming out, there was I think there were some challenges with the label. I don't want to speak on what it was, but Kip's a songwriter at heart. That's where he starts out, and he's got some great people around him. Dan Couch, Weston Davis, he had Brett James around him too, and just great songwriters in this town.
Yeah.
And I learned early on moving to this town back in 2004 that the songwriters and the session musicians, that was the heartbeat of this town. That was the blood source of this town. Like that's what it all started with, those guys.
Yep.
And ladies. And so with Kip, like Dan was out with us a lot. Weston Davis was out with us a lot. Brett would come out, and so I learned to just watch him work with those guys. And every weekend he'd come on the bus with, oh man, I had this great new song. We'd listen to it on Stun every night. Or each night he'd come on the bus and for bus call each week, and he'd have a new song they recorded. And I remember when he brought Cigarette on the bus, and I think he wrote that with Stapleton. We looked that up. Cigarette. I think he wrote it with Stapleton and somebody else. But yeah, watching Kip and the way he attacked his set and his show and his process, it's good. And there's stuff that I take from his work ethic and working around him and try to apply it in some of my acts today. I try to give advice on it, such as, I don't know if he talked about this on the podcast, but all the guys in his band have to know every one of his songs, or know all of his songs.
Oh, wow.
And so that if he calls an audible, just like Springsteen used to do,
they'd be ready.
They gotta go. Yeah. And like he changes the set. There was structure to his set, but he would change a lot. And if he gets gone on a whim, he's reading the crowd, and he's like, I gotta change it up. He goes in the talk about mic and go. But it brings a different energy. And I was talking to one of my other artist teams about walking into last year. I was like, what if we don't use a click this year, or we'll use a click, but what if we don't use time code and you just punt and go, and you have the content for all your songs, all your music, but you can call an audible and you can go. You're not on
rails the whole show. And yeah, man. I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard, but I think, for a guy like me, when I first started out, I mean, it was like maybe 3 wedges and maybe a 4-piece band.
Yeah.
you know, and we were just going. And if the crowd wasn't feeling it, I was like, all right, we got to play a different song right now because it's just, they're going to boo us out of here. So,
and it's hard when you're starting because not everyone's going to know all your music, and they may only know your album cuts. And then they're not learning the stuff that you wrote that day in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, that you're working up at sound check.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I wouldn't be sit where I'm at today if I didn't take any one of those gigs.
Yeah.
And then Kip's the one that had the most growth on. I mean, the Wild Horse and Kip was my most growth.
Yeah.
Actually, all of them. They're all like, there's just different perspectives of growth on each one.
Yeah. Well, it's about the journey, Ryan. You know, it is. So how did you decide or sort of transition from being out with Kip? I mean, you were there for so long, so I'm sure it was hard for them to even want to let you leave, but you kind of have since transitioned to this role at Red Light where you're like kind of I don't even know what your job title is, but I know in the time that we worked together, you were like I said earlier, like this like guardian angel that just, you know, we couldn't afford a TM.
Yeah.
And you were just helping us so much advance these shows to the point where it's like, you know, I mean, I certainly never took it for granted, but like having to deal with a lot of stuff myself now, it's like, man, that sure was.
Call me, I'll help you out. I'll help you out. The transition. I was planning. I got married in 2016. We had our first son in December of 16, Henry. And my plan was to get off the road at the end of that year.
Yeah.
It's 2017 as we done because I traveled so much and I'd seen the people that were the crew people and road warriors that were on the road that were away from their families. And I didn't want my kids remembering that dad was always gone.
Yeah.
At the end of 2016, also what happened was we had a little bit of an exodus of people. Production manager wasn't coming back. He was getting off the road. Guitar player wasn't coming back. And so I had to, for 17, I had to jump in and I had to get a new front of house, new LD, new production manager, new monitor person. It's like, I can't leave Sean and Jenny high and dry. Like I need to, and Kip, I can't do business like that. So I stayed around for 17. And the whole conversation for 17 was like, I'm getting off the road at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And with that, it was a side conversation start with Sean McSpadden and about, hey, is there a way I can come into Red Light? Is there anything I can do in here? And we kind of workshopped the idea throughout the whole year. And then Tom Lord and Tom Betchy kind of jumped on the idea, and they were part of the conversation. And we came up with this idea of me coming in and being a touring resource within Red Light.
Yeah.
Red Light likes to have a lot of resources such as digital marketing, tour marketing, graphic design, radio, to be a resource for our artists. And so we create this position as I was kind of given a blank template, a blank canvas to figure out what it is. Like the first month and a half, I was like, man, what am I doing in here? One, getting off the road, going into an office. Two, like having like a sedentary job, like that's hard. And I kind of had to like paint my own picture with what I was given. So I sent an email to a lot of I went through our whole roster, who was our country roster, and said, hey, I'm here at Red Light. This is what I'm here to do. How can I help you? And the first artist I worked with was Adam Sanders. And so he was one of the first guys. And what's great about Adam is that this is kind of trickled down to you a little bit, where he had a great relationship with Claire Brothers. And so Claire has a great program over there with the rehearsal room, and they're the band in the box rigs, they're in-ears, where they help emerging artists get up off the ground. Yeah. He gave me that relationship, and to this day, those are some of my best friends in this business now. Yeah. Because of him. And so, we created this position. I guess the title I would settle on is like a touring director. I'm not the touring director, but a touring director in the sense of I'm available to all of our national managers and artists. I just don't work with all of them. Yeah. Until they raise their hand and say, I need some help. For instance, like, when it comes to the Stapletons, the Dirks, or the Maren Morrises, or even Sam Hunt, they have their processes. They have their teams. I don't bring much value to them. I may get a call once or twice a year to help them out with maybe staffing, or like, hey, we're looking for a production assistant, or we're looking for this. Let me see if I can go track someone down. A lot of my world is working with our emerging artists. I'm using that term now. Instead of new artists, because you've been here 10 years almost. Yeah, emerging, or I like it. The other one I used to use is financially challenged, right?
Emerging's better.
Emerging. We have emerging artists, and as you know, like it's it's hard when you're getting $500 a show and you want to put on the best show possible, but you got to pay your band $200 a show, and you got per diems and you got travel and hotels. It adds up. That cost adds up.
No doubt.
And so I have come in to help. I came in to help be basically the in-office tour manager, production manager, and taking care of all things touring, except for I'm not traveling.
Right.
And getting everything advanced, getting everything, all the details from band to rehearsals to production to hotels, travel, just all those details that go into it. And been doing that since 2018. And then it's kind of grown in the last couple of years that have artists that are elevating. So, meaning they've moved past the van going into like buses.
They've emerged.
They've emerged.
They were emerging. Now they've emerged like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
Yes. Their income's getting better.
Yeah.
But their costs are getting more. And so I help manage that too. I help manage expectation on costs and balance on that. But like, such as I think Gabby Barrett was one of my first artists that went from a van and trailer to a bus.
Yeah.
Jameson Rogers also, he went from van and trailer to bus. And in the last couple of years, last year, 23 and 24 specific, I spent most of the year focused on Jordan Davis, Laney, and a little bit of Parker in their scaling, because all three were jumping up another level. Laney specifically, right?
Yeah.
And helping in their scaling of being the first time, not necessarily Parker, but Parker, I help a little bit on staffing and some budget questions, but
yeah,
Jordan helping his great team elevate up to amphitheaters and arenas headlining last year.
Yeah.
Laney also, like being with Laney on her first headlining arena show in Uncasville, and just getting pulled into that kind of stuff and being support for all of our managers. Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess there's like a lot of, you don't think about it, but it's like, there's just like huge staging requirements and
yeah, there's a lot. And especially when you're scaling up from, in December of 22, Laney did a radio show in St. Louis and they drove there in a van and trailer.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy. Like insane to think about now.
Maybe that was 23. Maybe it's 22 or 23, and then the next year she, at the end of last year, she was up to almost 6 trucks and 6 buses. Wow. And you got 50 people on the road. That's a lot for a manager, a tour manager, a whole team. And then, the psyche of you're the crew guy that was riding on the bus with the artist last year. And now you're on a new crew bus with vendor staff. And
yeah,
it's hard. Like there's challenges there, and you help them. You try to help as best as you can.
Yeah.
In that scaling.
Yeah. But you just sort of have that kind of institutional knowledge. And this is one of those things that I sometimes like keeps me up at night when I think about my world is a songwriting world, and there's all this like sort of, it's like the unwritten rules of baseball, but it's the unwritten rules of songwriting. And that was one of the motivations for wanting to do something like this podcast, was to just like try and sort of start to unpack that, because there's so much like stuff that is hard to explain, but it is vital.
Right.
Also, and something you just talked about, going from when you're on one bus, which is an amazing milestone to get to, but everybody's together. I can remember this happening with some artist friends of mine, where it's going from, couple crew members and the band and the artist, and I've gone out with them and it's so much fun. Yeah. And then you go back 2 years later and it's like, oh, this is business. This is business now. Yeah. Everybody's got their own thing, and there's a lot more responsibility. And I'm sure that's hard for everybody to adjust to.
And one thing I learned growing with Kip was that once you become an artist that's making money or anytime you become an artist or a songwriter, you're automatically a small business owner. Yeah. And you didn't move to this town to be a small business owner. You moved to this town to be an artist or songwriter. And there's a lot of growing pains in there to run a small business, right?
No doubt.
There's a lot to learn there. And how to run a business and the psyches of managing people. And do you want to be that artist that is taking care of that? Or do you just want to have you want to instill that responsibility on your manager, business manager, tour manager, production manager, or have them take care of it? And then what are their marching orders? Like, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. And I feel for every one of these artists that grows and you get that deer in the headlight look. Like we had a couple weeks ago, we had a tour meeting with one of our artists that's moving pretty fast this year. And you can see we're showing them numbers that are bigger than anything his parents have ever made.
Yeah.
And like spending money on lighting that's more than his parents ever made in a year.
Yeah.
Or his grandparents made or ever saw. And it's like, it's just deer in the headlight. And you try and soften the blow from experience and try to like help them. But sometimes you just have to go through it to figure it out and help just guide the train and help guide them.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about.
Touring's expensive. The music business is expensive, right? It's hard. I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, I think you need great people. And my advice to every young artist that will listen to me is that, you know, especially once you start getting a little heat on you.
Yeah.
A lot of people start showing up, and that's great. You know, you need a business manager. You need a manager. You need a booking agent. You need all this help, but don't let it, my advice is always like, don't let it be an excuse for burying your own head in the sand.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want to do is wake up 6 years later and realize you did all this work and you don't have any money.
Sure.
Because you didn't ask the right questions or whatever. And it's very, I would say, especially now, the money part is always the most stressful because you're just dealing with kind of a vacuum. It's like, okay, we're making money now, but we also need to reinvest. And how much am I supposed to reinvest? And I'm just sort of like staring in the mirror going, 50%. Like I
had this conversation last week. We had an artist that was supposed to go on sale last Thursday, his first club run.
Yeah.
He was starting on the West Coast. I'd gotten the routing like a week earlier, and there was like, hey, here's the routing. Can you help with this? I said, sure. I said, and in my back of my brain, I was like, it's starting on the West Coast. It's going to be a van trailer. It's not great numbers.
Yeah.
Let me go run this budget real quick before this thing gets on sale. We go run it, and it's bad. It's like $60,000 loss.
Yeah.
With a West Coast and an East Coast run. And so part of my job is sometimes I just have to share this. Like, here's the information. Don't kill the messenger, but like, is this worth it? I give it to the manager first.
Yeah.
Let's not give it to the artist first because we don't need to get them upset just yet.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it. And then we get on a call with artists. It's like, hey, here's the scenario. Here's a couple ways where I think you could fix it. We get the booking agent on, and then you come up with a solution. And it's scary.
Yeah.
And if you don't have someone watching over that, you can go in debt real quick. Especially as an independent artist that doesn't have a label. Like,
yeah.
You may have the traction online and you can sell tickets, but it's not cheap to get to LA.
Nope.
And it's not cheap to stay on the West Coast for 2 weeks in a van.
Yeah, and there's all the hidden costs you don't think about, you know, when you're, you know, okay, now you've got 4, 5, 6 people out there with you.
You have an off
day. You got 3 off days because there's no shows Sunday night to Tuesday. And then what are you going to do? Okay, you got the hotel, but there's other stuff you kind of got to account for. And I don't know, I always feel responsible for everybody having a good time.
Yeah. And then also, you know, and then what's great is though I'm walking this artist through this process.
Yeah.
So that when we get to the end of the call, it's like, hey, this is how we fix this for next time. Let's get ahead of it a little bit farther and let's talk about it. We didn't go on sale yet.
Yeah.
Which is good. They're redoing the routing. And but it just helps that artist grow. To have that conversation. It helps the manager too, because managers come from so many different avenues. They either come from publishing or the label or marketing. Right. In touring, you're going to make a lot of your money and most of your money. And there's some that do come from touring, but if you don't have a touring background, you just don't know what you don't know. It's like if I went to publishing, I know a little bit, but not enough to help move people along the way.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of refreshing when you have like one of those learning, those moments that you see the artist learning. It's like, this is good.
Yeah.
It hurts, but it's good. And you can tell they're, you know, as a creative, they're defeated. Like, oh man, I was really excited to go do this, but is this worth $60,000?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, no, go build this and then let's spread out.
Yeah, we can do it differently. We can tweak it. And yeah, I mean, I think Jillian was on here, Jillian Jacqueline, talking about going into debt from touring. Like, I get it. It's hard, especially when you're independent, because you are, I think one of the hardest things about being an independent artist in Nashville is you're surrounded by people who are playing a lot of times with a different set of circumstances
Sure.
than you are. So, maybe that is most evident in like a tour support situation. Just if certain label deals they'll cut you a check
Yeah.
to help you make
Tour
up
support.
the loss on a tour.
Yeah.
And when you're independent, you're kind of going, all right, well, I can take a little bit from this
Yeah.
income over here, but you got to watch it because it can get away from you really fast.
Right.
And those are just some of the lessons that are scary to learn. And
It's hard.
I think some of the most fun I ever had in the music business was when I first started.
Yeah.
And I was just playing shows for $500.
Yeah.
But I had my little spreadsheet out and I'd figure out, okay, if I did a weekend and I knew this one spot that let me play from noon to 3. And so I could pick up another $600 there. And then I could only, I could get to the end of the weekend and I knew I was going to make a few $100 or whatever. But I made a living doing that, when I was 23, 24 years old, and I knew so much. And then when I got to Nashville, I forgot so much of it.
Sure.
Because it was, I didn't want to do it. I thought I was maybe above it, or I had all these other people around, so I thought I could let it go.
Yeah.
But the lesson that I'm constantly learning and relearning is like, it's best if I keep an eye on it. And I really appreciate the help, but it's always the best result when I'm making sure I'm seeing for myself.
Right. And I agree. And I think I try my best to share, whether I have permission from the manager or to share what I have with each artist. I work best when I go directly one-on-one, like when we were working together.
Yeah.
By the way, we did 114 shows together.
Really?
That's good.
That's pretty good.
114. I think you're my third artist, right? I think it went you. I have the list over there. It was you, Aubrey Sellers. No, it went Adam Sanders, Aubrey Sellers, Chris Bandy, and then you. Like all of them the first couple months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry. There's a lot to learn in this business. If you lighten the load on the artist and the manager a little bit, you're just creating value for yourself.
How do you go about finding help in terms of, I'm sure you get a lot of calls like, we are looking for a TM or we're looking for a bass player for this show. Like,
Sure.
Do you keep a Rolodex? Should people be reaching out to you? Like
No. So, it's a lot of word of mouth. I'll often, almost daily or weekly, get calls about gigs. I got one this morning about a tour manager that's leaving an artist, and I got it from the manager of the artist.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, can you help me find someone?" I said, "Can this be public?" And he goes, "Yeah, you can tell everybody. The artist already knows that the tour manager's leaving." Sometimes I'll get phone calls that, "Hey, we're looking to replace our front of house guy," and but it can't be public knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to tread lightly, and you got to earn that respect of the managers and the artists that you're going to get information, and they know that they can tell you something, and you're only going to process to the people that you trust. You're going to process to, or talk to about it, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to get back to the person that they're getting let go before someone properly can tell them.
Totally.
Or getting replaced. And also you have to be careful because everyone in this town knows everybody. Yeah. And so if you hear of this person getting changed, you got to go say, okay, does this person know the 3 people you're recommending? Are they going to tell them? Like it's a hard, but a couple of good things. There's a new staffing website called Gigs. Mm-hmm. This girl, Nikki Sands, opened it up. And it's for helping find people to fill roles on the road. Not just role, but I think TV and film as well. She's branching out into that. That's been very helpful. And a lot of it's just word of mouth. And I'm on a tour manager text or WhatsApp text thread that has about 100 tour managers here in town. And we'll put stuff on there. Say, hey, looking for a gig, looking to get this filled. What do you guys got? And you'll get a lot of responses. And a lot of it sometimes is, if I'm trying to fill a role, it's me reaching out to people. I feel bad saying this. This is one of my secrets, but reaching out to see how they are with the gig. Are you still comfortable with your gig? Are you looking for a change? Yeah. And here's what I got if you are. Some people, I called a guy last week and I got a gig. Are you interested? He goes, no, I'm happy with my gig. I'm going to stay here. Yeah. Some people are like, yeah, tell me more. I don't think it ever hurts to have a conversation as long as you do business properly, meaning like if you're transitioning to get a gig, you're doing it when there's a break. You're giving them enough leeway to help hire someone new, and you're not doing it like on a Thursday to go out on a gig on a Friday. Like you're just doing business properly.
Right.
Yeah, musicians are a little bit harder for me because I come from the crew side, but there's and I'm not on the road. That's one thing where my job lacks for me right now is that I've had to travel a lot more in the last couple of years to see who the new players are out on the road. Been off the road for 7 years now.
Yeah.
And so the people that were out there when I were there, they've graduated, they've elevated, and so I don't know who some of these new players are.
Yeah.
And going to the festivals like Tortuga or Faster Horses or one of those, I'll just go there and just hang all day and just talk to people and see who the new people are and just make friends. And then anybody that if I have a manager that lets go and a crew person or someone gets let go, I tell them just give them my information. We'll find them something. Like just put them in contact with me and go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a Rolodex, but
yeah,
it's hard.
But it's a network. Networks are a bit nebulous,
Right. It can be. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But man, I can just tell you're so knowledgeable. You have
fake it till you make it, right?
You got a passion for it.
It's fun. I still enjoy touring. I enjoy touring at where I'm at now. I don't know if I could go back on a bus for 200 days a year again, but it's fun and it keeps me at home, keeps me at red light, which has been great for me.
Yeah.
And I wish it's amazing how many times that people say we wish other companies had the position that you have.
Yeah.
It's resourceful.
No
Not
doubt.
to pat myself on the back, but it's
well, I can speak from experience. It's an incredible resource. It's very helpful. And there's so many great things about red light with the resources that they have. And it's great. It's a big management company for a reason,
Yeah, it is.
Well, before we get out of here, if you could give your younger self, a piece of advice, or just give a piece of advice to somebody that kind of wants to get into the tour managing side,
sure,
or the road side, what would you tell them?
I think there's a couple things. One, you got to have a good work ethic. You just got to show up. You got to have a good work ethic, and you got to be a good hang. And one thing that I was just talking to someone about this earlier before I came over here is I've never chased the money. I've chased the experience and the growth, and to get the knowledge. And maybe that's hindered me a little bit, maybe because I don't know, but I just never chased it. I've always chased the experience and the knowledge of whatever I was wanting to learn.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's just showing up, being present, having a good attitude, being easy to work with. Don't be weird. Don't be that weird guy on the bus.
Don't be a weirdo.
Yeah, right. Just don't. And just work hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
I think that's pretty amazing advice.
And a lot of it also is be a chameleon. Like be able to adapt to each environment. Like I do it nonstop because I'm having to adapt to every artist is different. Every manager is different. Their processes, their way they want to see stuff, the way they communicate. Be a chameleon. Be able to adapt to environments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's I don't know. Touring is like, to me, one of the most interesting and often misunderstood components of the music business. So I'm really grateful to you.
I have one story that
Please.
I'm grateful to this guy.
To me?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because you gave me one of my coolest days ever on the road. Do you remember this?
I think I know what you're gonna say.
At Blake Coleman's parents' house, or his in-laws' house in Dallas.
Yeah.
When Blake Coleman played for Tampa Bay.
Yep.
It was his day with the cup, and you called and told me like, "Hey, I need production on this. Can you help me?" And I was like, "How about you let me come do it for free, and I'll line up the production, and just let me come hang out." And he did. It was great. And what's cool about that is hanging with the keeper of the cup. That was the coolest day.
And to set this up a little bit, so my friend Jordan, who I went to high school with, her husband is a NHL hockey player, and he won. I think that was his second time winning the cup.
I think it was maybe.
And they were driving. I think he was done in Tampa. I think he plays for Calgary
signed
now.
to Calgary, yeah.
They were driving from Florida back to Dallas, and he was listening to like his iPod or whatever, and my song came on, and she was like, what, why are you listening to this? And he's like, I like this song. And she was like, I went to high school with this guy. So that's how I ended up playing this Stanley Cup party.
It was awesome. And I mean, hockey's my passion. Music's my career, but hockey's my passion.
Yeah.
It was cool to sit there and read that. You guys probably thought I was a dork, but I was reading the cup.
No, I thought it was
reading
awesome.
names and talking to this guy named Howie and Phil Pritchard, that they're the keepers of the cup. Those are the guys you see delivering them. And what was cool, the next year, I have a friend that's a video coach for the Colorado Avalanche. They won it. He invited me to the party, his day with the cup in San Jose where he lives. And Howie and Phil were there, and they came up and they were talking to me like, "Hey, I remember you from last year from Blake's."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I was like, I felt cool. So you're if everything I've helped you with, we're good.
Okay. Well, that was a great day, and it made me. You've done so much for me, and I knew that was delighting you.
Oh my gosh.
Which delighted me.
I was so bummed. I had to fly in and out that same day.
Yeah,
like
you missed.
In the morning.
You missed the. I've got a great video on my phone of me getting drinking. I use the term drinking from the cup loosely because I took about 3 sips and then dumped the rest on my head.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's like, yeah. I realized I think you sent me the video the next day, and I knew I was gonna. The after party is where when everyone leaves, and I remember that in the back of my brain. And so when I went to my buddies, I was like, I just gotta make it to the long haul. I gotta get to when everybody leaves, and that's when it was great because we were sitting there, we're drinking out. You're not supposed to touch cup until you win it, but I don't think I'm gonna win it.
Right?
Maybe if I go work for an NHL organization, but yeah, and sitting there reading the cup with my buddy. Phil Pritchard and Howie and like them telling stories. That was one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so
That's
you're part
amazing.
of that. You're part of that memory.
Well, dude, means a lot, and thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
That's it. That's the pod. See you later. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. If you want to submit a question for one of our Q&A episodes, you can do so at tenuretowne.com. We would love it if you would join the Tenuretown community, which just means we'll send you updates via email about stuff we got going on. And of course, please rate and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Wherever you listen or watch this thing, we appreciate you so much. See you next week.